Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Ted.
And today we have another edition of Hooked on Adventure. This time we're going to be talking about the Ghost Ship.
If you want to jump down to the description below, you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter. It's a great way to get gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
Alright, so I had this idea, and I'm like, it's just like a word percolating in my brain, and I'm like, I want to do something.
Ship.
I want to do something with it, a ghost ship or a derelict ship, and like how to turn that into an adventure and how to make it, more interesting, right? First of all, you can make it like a massive ship,
right?
So maybe even bigger than anything that the players have ever encountered.
Okay.
And then basically maybe like the players, they're on a ship. It's just come out of a fog bank. The weather is just breaking, or it seems to be breaking. But instead of coming into clear sunny skies, their ship falls under the shadow of this massive ship. Almost like, remember Pirates of Darkwater? Remember how big that ship was?
Yeah.
Like that ship would eat other ships.
That was a great show.
So. Initially, I had this one thought, and that is, they come across this derelict ship, and maybe it's only a little bit bigger than our ship. Maybe it's a lot bigger than our ship, right?
Okay.
And so we'll go down two paths with this one. And so, as they pull alongside of it to check it out, maybe they want to see if there's anything they can salvage, see if there's anybody that needs help, whatever. These ethereal, ghostly chains, ropes, vines, tentacles, use whatever you like, shoots forth from the ship and wraps around your ship. And then that ship begins the list.
Right.
And so now your ship is in danger of being pulled down, and the thing connecting the two ships isn't physical. You can't cut them.
All right. So you sparked an idea in my brain, and we could absolutely go that it's spiritual, that it's undead, and that's been done. It's out there. It's cool. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it.
Are you gonna go mimic ship?
I was. What if you've got a massive aquatic mimic, and this is one of the ways that it pulls in prey.
Okay, so all right, so there's a couple things. One is, what size ship is your mimic? Is it like the ship that's just slightly bigger, or the same size, or is it the massive ship? Because it makes a big difference.
It can go either way. If it's just a lot bigger, maybe not massive. I mean, I don't know how big mimics have the ability to get. I've seen ones that are the size of
caves,
houses.
mountains, So here's the thing, right? And here's why I think it matters. You have to define what size it is, because one is it actually engulfs the ship, and your ship is inside that ship.
Okay.
That has its own problems.
Yes.
The other is, it's just stuck to that ship, and now its mode of operandus is to pull the other ship under and just drown everybody.
Right.
Or drown as many people as it can. And the other thing too is what does it do with the ships that it pulls under? Does it obviously it's creating this graveyard of ships.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it wants to eat the people, right?
Yes.
So if it wants to eat the people, they can kind of just jump off the ship. They can jump into dinghies, whatever. So a bunch of them will probably get away.
But if it waits to move until after people are already on it, then it could be problematic for them.
Well, yeah, because if you're saying it waits until they go. Well, but here's my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how does if it goes ship to ship and the hull is stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm going to envision maybe they don't realize they're stuck right away.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about at one point do they realize that they're stuck and there's a problem, right? Because that's going to elicit a different response from the sailors, right?
That's true.
If they seem stuck, I can see them. They're gonna grab hooks and poles and stuff and try to just push it away,
mm-hmm.
and that's when they're gonna realize they can't. It's stuck. So then they're gonna want to figure out, well, is there a way to unstick it, right? The reason why I kind of went with the spectral ensnarement is because there's nothing on your ship you can do, so it kind of forces you to have to go on their ship,
That's
on the other ship, to try and figure out if there's a way.
All right, so let's go down. Let's go down your road and see where this path lies.
Okay, so then you would basically just treat the ship itself like a dungeon, right? And the objective would be to get to the heart of the dungeon, where maybe there's a ghost or a lich or some other powerful undead that is actually the one controlling
these chains.
Okay. And basically it has the ability to lower the ship beneath the waves, which will force everyone to abandon the ship, drown out whoever they can. Maybe like you can make it even more interesting. Like, so here's how it would play out, and then we'll like end this, and we can jump into the other one, right?
Well, I actually have a cool thing with that. If you want to.
Okay. Well, I'll do mine,
Yeah,
and then
yours.
you add to it.
Yep.
All right. Perfect. So, okay. They come out of the fog bank. They see the derelict ship. They approach it to investigate. They get ensnared, and then they're like, "What's going on?" They're looking around. That's when they see the fins, and I'm thinking either zombie or ghost sharks.
Okay.
Fins cutting through the water. So now they absolutely have to figure out, like, how they do not want to go in the water, right? And then the other ship begins to list, and you're in danger of your ship being pulled through. So now you have a time limit of how long before the one ship will pull the other under. So now they have to explore the ship. The ship becomes essentially a floating dungeon.
Right.
And you can do all kinds of things with different kinds of undead. And then at the heart of the ship, you have the captain, who is the one that's kind of like trying to pilot his ship to the bottom of the ocean to kill everybody.
Right.
And there is no escape because that's where the sharks are.
Right.
So you guys can do whatever you want with that. What do you got?
So in relation to the whole spectral thing, I actually got a really cool idea. There are times that things get killed by something. In a magic world, it creates an undead, and that utterly mutates and changes the purview of a particular creature. So what if the quote-unquote
for instance, you're saying, like, all right, someone dies and their spirit form goes on to become an undead, but it could be a horrific version of themselves, not themselves, because of whatever happened, the trauma. Okay.
So in relation to that, you have a merfolk spellcaster who was crushed to death by a sinking ship. And for whatever reason, that creature's essence lives on in this necrotic state of some kind of lich or powerful undead.
I'm sorry, Ted. All I can envision, like, have you ever seen something sink?
Yeah.
It doesn't sink very fast. So
perhaps magic was involved.
He's like, no, I'm being crushed.
Magic could have been involved.
But whatever, something happens, the ship kills him.
The ship kills him and his village. He comes back as an undead. He animates the ship with his necrotic powers.
Okay.
And lifts it and commands his friends' spirits to stay back with him, to then torture sailors above for the acts that they've caused by crushing his village.
So here's like, there's like a couple ideas you could go with, like, for why that would happen. Like, there was a reason. Like, there was a reason why, like, he couldn't, like, just leave. Like, there was something he wasn't willing to leave behind, like children and stuff like that. Maybe he's rushing in and out, trying to, like, maybe he has a whole school of children he's trying to save. And when I mean school, not as an education, but fish. And there was just too many of them to get them all out, and that's why, like, he, like, up until the very end, he's still running in and out of the building or whatever. And like, so he calls down this terrible curse. But yeah. Like,
so my concept is, anytime you've got a big villain, I always want there to be more behind it and the ability to insert a role-playing scene before or during combat. And inspiration struck me as, like, okay, typically merfolk are good things, so if you can twist that, well, how can it get twisted? And that's where the inspiration struck me with the whole necrotic. And it's like, if you've got the ability to have this creature that's acting against its standard nature, it changes the purview of the combat, and it gives the players options of, okay, well, maybe we can think of another way to end this torment. Maybe there's something that's all role playing, or maybe it leads to a whole nother quest. Maybe it leads to a whole aquatic adventure arc to set things right.
Yeah, so I actually like that very much, in the sense that, like, perhaps you can defeat this encounter, right? This scenario, and you can go on your way. But the problem is, it's gonna continue to happen. I like undead that, like, kind of like reset and come back. Mm-hmm. That you can't just simply wipe them off, and ghosts kind of have that ability,
right?
And I feel like a certain spectral undead too. Like, this is a curse; you can't just simply kill it away. Mm-hmm. So it does create this scenario where you may defeat the encounter, but you haven't solved the problem,
right?
And I love that idea that, though, at the bottom of the ocean, like, because maybe at the bottom of the ocean there is this ruined merfolk village that in essence would become another dungeon, where perhaps by going there and slaying something or someone to rest, perhaps this individual's original body and his family's, then that will break the curse, and he no longer has to haunt the seven seas or whatever he's doing. And you're right. It could create a series of adventures. Mm-hmm. Like, part one could be escape the encounter.
Escape the encounter. Part two is figure out how to survive underwater. It's up to the DM whether they want to. Oh well, just being able to breathe makes you fine, or maybe the DM is like, well, no, you need to be able to survive the pressure of the deep.
Yeah, well, depending on how much you want to get into. Well,
that. yeah, exactly. And then, actually getting down there, finding the problem, solving the problem. You've got multiple sessions that you could play this out over.
Well, so, like, I was also thinking, too, like, perhaps they leave the scene and, perhaps they're curious enough to research it, and they find out this event happens, once a year on this date or whatever, and there's been other ships that go missing in that area, and they kind of, like, piece things together until they can, like, even, like, the original incident that caused the whole right. problem. And then, like, from there, they can kind of, like, that becomes, like, a mini adventure in itself.
I mean, it could have very well been a large naval battle, and it destroyed a lot from the weight of the magic and the weight of the ships. There was no way to avoid it all.
Well, yeah, like, ships are raining down all over the place, depending, what kind of battle it was.
Right.
So, yeah, you could definitely do something along those, or it could even have been an aerial battle, like airships, and
right.
they're crashing at high velocity into the water, wreaking devastation. But yeah, like, so they piece together this whole event that happened, and then there's this, like, side note, right, which is this tragedy that happens in this village that no one even knows about.
Right.
And then from that, the adventure springs up of, well, how can we lay these spirits to rest and undo right the wrong that has been done.
So, again, as inspiration sparks it further, you had said that you had this, the idea of this being a massive ship, so you've got to be able to go through a large dungeon. What if it's like one of the things that draws the attention is that while it's massive, it appears that it's been constructed from multiple vessels, and you can see that
it's like patchwork, yeah.
Right. So when this merfolk spirit creature, he pulled the wreckage with his magical powers out of the village and constructed with his rage, and constructed one mega vessel to essentially stop the ships from ever doing this again.
Can it be shaped like a shark?
Absolutely, it can.
It's not really shaped like a shark, man. I was thinking megalodon, but yeah. So no, that actually is kind of cool. Like when I had two massive versions in my mind. One is just bigger than most ships, which is still a decent amount to explore. Mm-hmm. You have different areas or whatever. Which this could make it like double or triple that. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was like Pirates of Darkwater massive, where that thing's like eats other ships.
Right.
and which could be cool in itself. And then like you're trying to figure out, like you're trying to not only escape for you, but for your how do you get your ship out as well,
right?
Which would be completely different, probably a different video as well. As long as the mimic ship is also a freaking amazing idea. I like it, and that's another. I think that could be a video unto itself.
All right, so we'll save mimic ship for later.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys want us to cover the Pirates of Darkwater style ship and the mimic ship in another video? Let us know in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.